In 2015, the Clemson Tiger football program would make it to the College Football Playoffs national championship game for the first time, in pursuit of the program's first national championship since a 1981 Orange Bowl victory over Nebraska. The Tigers would be facing what seemed like an unstoppable Alabama Crimson Tide team that was used to playing its last game of the season on the biggest stage, as it would be seeking its fourth national championship in 6 years. The film on the Alabama program would show an opponent that in order to win, they would have to swim across the croc-infested sub-Saharan Nile and facing a defense that 3 years prior prevented an LSU team that they lost to earlier in the season from finishing a single drive on their side of the 50-yard line in that national championship game. An opponent would also have to stop the Nile from flowing into the Mediterranean Sea in facing a highly touted running game led by Heisman Trophy winning running back Derrick Henry, running behind All-American center Ryan Kelly. Henry would strike first. 50-yard scamper off the right block, past the outreaching but leverageless arms of the last defender, and into pay dirt. Clemson would respond, scoring the next 2 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson to Hunter Renfrow, perfect throw, ooh, nice catch, ×2. Henry responds up the gut for a tough yard, and Alabama and Clemson are standing toe-to-toe at the half, a position that Alabama isn't used to being in, but they would respond. Their next touchdown would come through the air, and after Clemson would score a field goal and follow that up with a touchdown, Alabama found itself trailing again going into the fourth quarter. It really seems Clemson did their homework, but in crunch time, the team that had been so dominant over the previous 6 years began to show things that they hadn't shown before. After kicking a field goal to tie the game at 24, the Crimson Tide would then line up to attempt what turned out to be the most beautiful onside kick that I've ever seen and get the ball right back, and right back in the end zone is where Alabama tight end O.J. Howard, the game's offensive MVP, would find himself again. The Tigers would march down the field and come away with 3, but on the ensuing kickoff, Kenyon Drake, Alabama Swiss Army knife, would knife, slice, and dice through the coverage team 95 yards into the painted part of the field. Alabama by 11. The Tigers would answer but come up short on the conversion, but the Tide would roll again, this time putting themselves up by 12. And with 12 seconds left on the game clock, Clemson would get the last score of the game, but it wouldn't be enough. Roll Tide roll. Chip number 4 in the Saban era. Not all stories have a fairy tale ending. The Clemson Tigers came up short that January evening in Arizona, but a loss is only a loss if you learn nothing from it. The Tigers added the personal experience of going against Alabama to what they learned from the film, and the following January, they would be the ones scoring the go-ahead touchdown with 6 seconds left on the game clock to be crowned the 2016 college football national champions. Alabama would meet Clemson the following year, and after applying their adjustments from the previous loss, they would beat Clemson pretty handily, 24-6, on their route to beating Georgia in the national championship game for their 5th chip in 8 years. The following season, you guessed it, Clemson would dominate Alabama, beating them by more than the other 3-point differentials combined to win their 3rd national championship, 2nd in 3 years. The point is, each team beat the other by applying what was previously known, the traits and tendencies shown on film, plus the in-game experience, and making the necessary adjustments to be victorious. The information you need to be successful is there. If you don't apply the information and make the necessary adjustments, then you're just as complicit in your failures. It doesn't mean that you've eliminated the chance of failure. Sometimes the opponent is simply better. But you can find solace in knowing that you did everything you could to put yourself in a position to succeed. If you know a DOT drug test is one of the things that you'll need to pass in order to get your CDL, but you fail to stop smoking weed, whose fault is it that you didn't get your CDL? We are nearly twice as likely to develop type 2 diabetes as our white counterparts, with obesity being the driving factor, according to NIH.gov. Who's responsible for what we feed ourselves and our children? I'm in out of shape 217. I was 202 at the beginning of the year. That's nobody but me. I eat them donuts at work every Friday morning. I eat them beef ribs and them hot links. We have brothers and sisters going vegan left and right and looking amazing, might I add, because the information tells them that it's better for their bodies and their overall health. I don't get to act like the system or someone else is responsible for my health when I've been presented the same information and can adjust accordingly the same way they did. This is what makes me say we have become professional victims. I was recently told that you can't blame a person for having cancer. It's not their fault. And while that's a true statement by itself, I don't see cancer patients just roll over and wait to die after being diagnosed. They fight. In fact, we commend them for fighting because not only will this be the toughest battle of their lives, but they're not guaranteed that they'll even come out of this battle victorious. They fight not knowing what their outcome is going to be. That's why we say they're courageous. That's why when we see a fuck cancer post from someone who won that battle, we press that like and it gets 100,000 likes because we understand what they have overcome and we respect the hell out of them for going through that. They could have given up. They didn't. Now, granted, cancer patients can't just move to a different country and be cured, but neither can black people in America. I find it far more feasible for 47 million people to come together and work on a common goal than for 47 million people to relocate to a different country, but I'll expand on that in a different video. I don't think less of my people. I believe we can achieve anything we damn well please. How can I think less of my people when every time I look at someone they say is the greatest at something, they have my skin tone? No disrespect to anyone of any ethnicity, but show me your LeBron. Yeah, show me your 6'8" guy that's that built, that strong, that fast, that agile, can jump that high. All physical traits that would mean something at any point in humanity. Show me your Shaquille O'Neal. Show me your Serena. My people are it for me. I don't see my people as not being up to par or unable to challenge any man on any land. We are simply misguided, and that's by our own doing. We have to acknowledge the real issue so that we may begin to make corrective actions. But the minute someone says anything that holds any of us accountable, we have so many others ready to throw on that victim cape and blame away our problems. It's not your fault. You were enslaved. Someone else is responsible for why we can't when so many others can. But I ain't buying it, Jack. It ain't the system that got our youth sliding on the ops. That's the big homie. That's the culture that fully condones it. That's the no snitching rule adopted by the residents of the community. That tells me the people in our communities are more comfortable with having dead children and known killers walking around than having a label put on them. The same people that make the streets unsafe for our children to walk in are the same ones fully embraced by their neighborhoods when they should be exiled from it. They should be afraid to show their face in it. They can walk into 5 or 6 homes during the holidays and pick up plates, and those are the ones your children want to be like. But the majority of my people don't rob folks, deal drugs, or attempt to take others' lives. I will not fix my mouth to speak, nor my fingers to type an excuse for those who do. Why does our success belong to us, but our struggles and failures belong to someone else? Yeah, the Constitution said we were 3/5 of a man. Did God give us 3/5 of free will also? Again, I fully recognize that systemic racism exists, the things that it wiped away in the past, and that there will be incidents in the future where it rears its ugly head. But there are far more pressing issues that we have to deal with first that starts and ends with us. If you're scared, say that. If it's not in you to fight for your people, then say that. If you done already gave everything you got and you ain't got no fight left, then say that. But we don't run from shit around here. We deal with the problem head on because we understand that running from the problem does not eliminate the problem. It just gets bigger and bigger, and it's still here waiting for you when, or rather I should say, if you get back. Respectfully.